All right, today we're jumping into the mindset of David Goggins, straight from his book Never Finished. Now, I gotta warn you, this isn't your typical feel-good self-help. There are no quick fixes here. We're talking about a philosophy that was born from extreme pain and is designed for one thing and one thing only, to keep you growing forever.
So, Goggins kicks things off by tapping into a feeling that, let's be honest, a lot of us have felt. It's that nagging voice in the back of your head, that emptiness in your gut that tells you, there's gotta be more than this. We try to fill that hole, but nothing ever seems to stick, right? Well, this whole explainer is about his pretty brutal answer to that exact problem.
And right out of the gate, he just throws down the gauntlet. He basically dismisses the entire self-help world as a bunch of hype that can't do a thing for someone who's really been through it. His path is something totally different. It's not built on comfort, it's forged in fire.
And this is absolutely key to understanding his whole worldview. He makes this huge distinction between two kinds of belief. On one side, you've got that flimsy, surface-level belief, the kind a life coach tells you to have. The problem is, it just disappears the second things get hard. But on the other side, you have deep belief. This isn't something someone can give you. This is something you earn. It bubbles up from inside you, but only after you've pushed through pain and exhaustion that you thought would break you. Okay, so where do you find this deep belief? Well, Goggins says you have to start by going backwards. You've got to confront your past, and not to sit around and feel sorry for yourself, but to actually mine it for fuel. Let's dig into what that actually looks like. Goggins' early life, his source code as he calls it, was just brutal. We're talking about a violent, abusive father, dealing with the KKK after moving, having learning disabilities so bad he could barely read, and then the murder of his mother's fiancé. I mean, this stuff just piled up until it led him to being a nearly 300-pound exterminator who felt like his life was already over. That was the darkness he had to go back and mine. And this moment right here is such a powerful turning point. Years later, he went back to the roller skating rink where his dad used to beat him. But when he saw him, he didn't see the monster from his memory. He just saw a weak, lazy, pathetic old man. And in that one instant, seeing his abuser for what he really was, the spell was broken. The past lost its power over him. So out of this experience, Goggins came up with this really practical, if not intense, technique. He calls it tape record yourself. The idea is you literally record yourself talking about your darkest moments, your biggest fears, all your excuses. You leave nothing out. And then you listen to it again and again and again. The point is to listen so many times that the emotional poison just wears off until all that's left is the raw power of knowing you survived it. So, once he confronted the past, the next stage was all about building a mind that was completely unbreakable. And this had nothing to do with motivation or finding your inspiration. This was about pure, thankless, day in, day out discipline. And the man who installed this discipline in him was his grandfather, Sergeant Jack. See, when Goggins and his mom escaped his dad, they went to live with Sergeant Jack. But there was no welcome party, no sympathy, there was just work. And these tasks were relentless. Mowing the lawn, but it had to be in a perfect grid, clipping hedges almost every single day, pulling weeds out of a gravel driveway by hand, on his knees. It didn't matter if it was Christmas or his birthday, the work was always there. Back then, he felt like he had just traded one tyrant for another. But years later, it clicked. He realized Sergeant Jack wasn't training him for yard work. He was training him for life. He was teaching him how to take pride in doing a hard job well, to find satisfaction in the effort itself, and to stop expecting life to be easy or fair. And this kind of training built what Goggins calls the savage mind. He makes this great comparison between a savage and a weekend warrior. A weekend warrior does hard things when it's convenient, when they feel like it. They check the box. But for a savage, it's a lifestyle. There's no I want to do this. There's only I must do this. It's this constant, daily fight to keep your mind hard, because your mind will always quit 1,000 times before your body does. Which brings us to the core message of the whole book. Success isn't some finish line you cross and then you get to relax. It's a process of constant, perpetual evolution. It's about always looking for the next hard thing to prove to yourself that you haven't gotten soft. So take a look at this number, 47. What do you think that is? It's not a record, it's not a time, it's an age.
At 47 years old, after already being a Navy SEAL, an elite ultramarathon runner, and a best-selling author, David Goggins decided to become a rookie smoke jumper, literally parachuting into active wildfires. And why would he do that? Because he felt success was making him complacent, and he needed to throw himself back into the fire, literally.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? What you did yesterday is history. It doesn't count. Your trophies can collect dust. Self-respect and the respect of others has to be earned fresh every single day. You have to wake up and earn it all over again. He even has a 2-word mantra for when things go wrong. Whether it's a failed race or a major surgery that gets botched, his response is always, "Roger that." And for him, it's not about just accepting it. He calls it an accelerant. It's a way to skip all the complaining and self-pity and just immediately shift into action mode. Okay, this is the new reality. What's next? So all this is incredibly intense, but how do we actually apply it? Well, Goggins wraps things up with this really powerful metaphor about taking full ownership of your life and your growth. He calls it the foxhole. Your foxhole is your inner circle, the people you surround yourself with, the ones you trust. It's supposed to be a fighting position where you have each other's backs. But he gives this stark warning. If you have the wrong people in there with you, that foxhole can turn into your grave. So he says you have to audit your foxhole. You need to look at the people closest to you and ask some really tough questions. Are they actually happy for you when you grow, or does it make them uncomfortable? Do they secretly prefer the old you who didn't challenge them? These are the people who will give you an excuse to quit, just to keep you down at their level. And this is his final, maybe his most difficult piece of advice. He says it is always, always better to fight alone than to be in a foxhole with people who are undermining your mission. If nobody around you gets it, then you become a one-man fighting position. You hold the line by yourself. And in the end, this entire philosophy, all the pain and all the discipline, it all boils down to this one simple question. It's a question for you. Goggins' entire life is his answer. It's a testament to the idea that our real potential isn't hiding in our comfort zones. It's on the other side of suffering. And that is what it truly means to be never finished.